All right, I'm here at Sun and Fun 2013, and I've just finished an amazing yoga class with Miss Patty Wagstaff here. And so we're gonna sit and talk with her for just a few minutes. I have to tell you, as a journalist or a budding journalist, I had to Google you. And I started reading through everything, and I'm supposed to remember, you know, these things to ask you about, but there were so many awards and Hall of Fame and everything listed. I can't remember them all. So
that's okay. Neither can I. And it's, you know, you can't believe anything that's on the internet. Yeah, I've had a career of about 25 years, a little bit more in aviation. Actually longer. I got my license in 1980. And became a CFI in about 1983 and started teaching. I was in Alaska, started teaching up in Alaska, and but I really wanted to pursue aerobatics. So I did, and I got on the U.S. aerobatic team. And after I got on the team, my big goal was to be the first woman to win the U.S. Nationals. After they desegregated, a woman hadn't won, and I started asking why. And the guys would say, well, you know, women aren't as aggressive. What I really discovered along the way was that it was an education process of letting them know that you could still be fun and still be girly and still, you know, not be, you know, come in there and, you know, be a tank and still win, you know, still be them. So, so that was my mission. And when I won, a guy friend said, you know, you can't just win once because they'll say it's a fluke. You have to go win it again. And so I did. So I thought, okay, 3 times. Then they can't say.
That'll lock it in. They'll know.
And the cool thing is, there's been a number of women that have won since.
So is it true that you have a plane in the Smithsonian next to Amelia Earhart's
plane? Isn't that something? That's surreal to me, even. So
tell us about that plane.
The airplane is a very unique airplane. It was a prototype to the plane that I'm flying now. So it was called an Extra 260. And it was built in Germany by Walter Extra, who builds all these extras that you see, the 2-seater and the single-seater. And a lot of the airshow pilots are flying them, and competition pilots. They're strictly built for aerobatics. So it was a very unusual plane, very fast, very cool, had a lot of, you know, really had a great aura to it. And that was the plane that I won the Nationals with.
Oh, wow.
You know, to be the first woman. So it had a couple of different, you know, aspects to it that the Smithsonian wanted. So they wrote me a letter and said, if you're ever thinking about getting a new plane, we'd like to have your old plane. I went, oh, wow. I wanted to retire the plane. It was time because it was a prototype. And Walter had designed the next version of it, which is pretty similar to what I'm flying now. So it all worked out. And so it's there. I go see it every once in a while. And right now it's hanging in the hallway. They moved it from Pioneers of Flight Gallery to hanging upside down in the hallway. So it looks like it's coming at you, and the curator has it looking like it's about to do an inverted ribbon cut. It's really cool. It's a really dynamic exhibit.
That's amazing.
So if you're in DC, go to the Air and Space Museum on the Mall.
Absolutely, I will.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So
the other thing I wanted to ask you about is I also read that you do seasonal firefighting.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that. You're all over the place. You're so interesting. You have so many things going on.
About 3 years ago, I decided that I wanted to change from doing, you know, air shows full time, and I'd done it for a long time, and wanted to explore other aspects of aviation. So I got a job. It was my first job in aviation, and my first job for a long time. And I got a job for CAL FIRE out in California, and it's the state-funded firefighting, aerial firefighting unit. It's the only state that really has a very organized aerial wing. So I flew the OV-10 Bronco for the last 3 summers. And this year I was to go into tankers, and I thought, you know, do I really want to be at a tanker base for the next 10 years or the rest of my life before I make that decision? And I found it really hard to take care of my dogs and
your parrot,
my parrot,
right?
And I really missed my friends at air shows. You know? So I decided not to do it anymore. But it was a really hard decision, but I feel good about it. And
So they hired you, though, to do seasonal firefighting. Did they know what you could really do with an airplane? I mean, did you never got to show them what?
No, because I would have, tankers would have been more appropriate for my skills, because you were flying lower and down in the weeds instead of doing the air attack, which is the forward air control overhead. And they were very, when they hired me, they said, okay, we know you're an aerobatic pilot. Well, I had to convince them that aerobatics was a good thing. You know,
Oh, absolutely.
And that I wasn't going to fly upside down in their planes. And they said to me, the last thing they said to me in my interview was, and I had to do the regular job interview, people thought I just sort of walked in and, you know, they gave me the job, but it was really difficult. And the last thing they said to me was, now if we catch you rolling one of our airplanes, you're going to get fired. We'll fire you immediately on the spot. I said, okay. So I could never roll their airplane, and I was a very good girl. So, but I still have my little aerobatic plane. I can go out and, you know,
very cool,
fly anytime. So,
thank you so much for talking to me today. And I'm just going to say one last thing is that. I'm just beginning in aviation. I have 18 whole hours.
Ooh, that's a good start. That's a good start. It is.
But so, what would be the best advice that you could give me? I've been asking everybody for advice. So, what is
well,
the
I know
best
that Bob
advice?
Hoover gave you some good advice yesterday.
He did. He gave me great advice.
He told you to know your limits.
That's right.
Know your airplane's limits.
Yep.
And what was the third thing?
And to keep flying.
A couple of things. One thing, when people come up to me and go, "Oh, I'm just a private pilot," I always scold them and say, you're not just a private, that's a big deal to be a private pilot. Don't ever say I'm just a private pilot. You know, I know that I have a lot of ratings and they talk to people that have a lot of experience, but it's still a big accomplishment. And it's also a really big accomplishment just to get started, because a lot of people talk about it. And, oh, someday I want to learn to fly. And I'm like, well, go, you know, you can start now. You don't have to wait. And so 18 hours is a big deal, you know?
Yeah, thank you.
And and also people get discouraged and there are learning plateaus and you think, I'm not a natural. And, you know, I don't think anybody's really a natural. You know, not too many people are. And so, you know, we all start in kindergarten. That's what I tell people. Look, I might be a, you know, college professor or whatever I am at this point, but I started in kindergarten too.
That's right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we all do.
Well, thank you.
So good luck.
Inspired me. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Keep
Miss
it up.
Patty Wagstaff.